What it is he's been doing to pass the time during the lockout.
Well, I think everybody try to keep themselves in decent shape. I think we've all come to the idea that it might not start for a while, so everybody's trying to work out and stay in shape, and for the possibility it does get resolved. But me personally, I've been in my summer home in Hilton Head and just trying to stay pretty low.
Also told me a little bit later on that he's been playing a little bit of golf, and the short game's a little better, he tells me.
Well, you know, this guy loves that game and has the home down in Hilton Head, which is a golf mecca.
You could play a little golf down there, yeah. But, you know, they're all happier for what it is they're doing right now, and that is playing hockey at last. And right now, with the ice completely resurfaced, they're going to have a little bit of a shootout showdown here, a la IHL. As is the case in the IHL, they have a shootout instead of an overtime after a tie hockey game, something that has been toyed with at different levels, and these guys, most of the NHL stars, have not been involved in one, and here we go. Larmer comes in and just blasts it by Knickel. That's not something you see a lot in shootouts.
Take that, says Steve Larmer. They call him Gramps.
It could be quite an imposing lineup of 5 shooters in the shootout that goes for the All-Stars. Now here's Cordy Hines, who's had a lot of success this year, a defenseman, but he's over 50%, and he is turned away by Kelly Rudy for the move that we have seen before.
You know, it's not very often that they get to do this shootout when the ice is this good. Usually the ice is very bad at the end of a hockey game. So.
Of course, the Olympic gold medal, excuse me, Darryl, was decided this way, so those international hockey aficionados know. Here's Wes Courtnall, and stacking the pads is Rick Knickel to kick it away.
That is patented, Rick Knickel. He's got a little smile going back the other way. Good save by Knickel as he stacks them up.
Now, Peter Savaglia will be the next shooter, one-time Buffalo Sabre, U.S. Olympian. He is 3 for 3 in shootouts this season against IHL netminders, but now it's Kelly Rudy he faces. And Savaglia is turned away by Rudy, who just got the right pad over to the far post.
Boy, you can just see the patience and anticipation of Kelly Rudy. He just waits for that last moment and then makes the move that he has to. Boy, he's been a great one over the years, hasn't he, Dave?
Well, here comes Brett Hull. Rick Knickel mentioned his name when he talked to us between periods, and he makes a pad save on Hull.
Well, Rick was kind of leaning the wrong way on that one, but he managed to get the right pad on it as Halsey came down and tried to beat him low to the stick side.
This is just one of many ways in which the IHL has been considered very innovative over the last few years. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but right now it's Jason Woolley, another defenseman, and he went upstairs, but he went too far upstairs.
I'm sorry, we talked about it so much about the Vipers and the fact that defensemen jump up. They're in the shootout every time they were in one.
Here comes Mark Messier. He'll be the 4th All-Star shooter. They are 1 of 3 so far and make it 2 of 4 with that patented move you spoke of earlier to the backhand, and he snuck it between the legs.
I've seen that move before.
Never in practice, have you? Well, the Vipers, were this a shootout situation, would have to score here to keep the shootout alive, as the 4th shooter down 2-0 would have to cut the lead in half. It's Miroslav Shatan, the 19-year-old Czechoslovakian. He comes into the backhand, and Rudy did not get there. He scored.
Rudy's leg went in along with the puck, and Shatan's an interesting story. He was the leading goal scorer at the Olympics. He's had a tough start to the season with the Vipers.
And who else? The great one. Everyone comes to their feet. It's Gretzky, and Knickel got the glove on it. And Rick is skating out to talk about it as Gretzky skates away.
And again, Knickel can't squeeze that oven mitt enough to hold it in there. He just gets a paw on it, and that's enough.
Lucky to not drop it back in the net. He dropped it so quickly. Now Peter Sikora could tie the shootout at 2. He the 5th and final shooter, the 18-year-old Czechoslovakian phenom, and he is turned away by Kelly Rudy, so the 99 Stars win the shootout showdown at the outset of this, the 3rd period, by a 2-1 tally. But Darryl, I alluded to it earlier, the shootout has been an innovation that the IHL did not hesitate to put in a few years back. Many people looking at it as a possible alternative for the NHL to eventually break ties in the regular season. We haven't had a chance to talk too much about, you know, the International Hockey League has had an explosive growth in the last few years, and they just added an 18th city to its 17-team league. About 10 days ago, the city of San Francisco was added, and you can't say enough about the markets and the cities that this league continues to add to its, I guess, its list, and they're expecting more announcements to be made, and bigger cities and bigger markets to be added to what is becoming a very impressive list.
It certainly is, and have a look at the shootout as we go, but I tell you, a lot of the success of the IHL and them breaking new markets is a direct result of number 99 heading down to LA. A lot has been piggybacked on this man's shoulder. Great save by Kinickle. He bobbled it like a hot potato, and then he had a good laugh. But Wayne Gretzky has done so much for the game south of the 49th parallel. He has really broken new ground down here, and it's a popular sport, probably one of the fastest growing sports down here right now. And the IHL has kind of piggybacked that a little bit.
Benefited
Sure
from
they
his
have.
boom, to say the least. In fact, the IHL added 4 new cities and 5 new markets this past year. Actually, the Detroit franchise was the old Salt Lake Golden Eagles franchise that was bought and moved here to Detroit, but the Detroit market added to the league along with expansion markets of Houston, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Denver, and Chicago. And 4 of the 5 new cities in the league are the top 4 cities in the league in attendance coming into tonight's action in the IHL, with Detroit leading the way at nearly 14,000 a game.